What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 10th episode of the Lob It Up Podcast with your hosts, Tobias, Chris Panett, CP, and, of course, Siyavash Gorbani. Boys, how are we doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm so happy you didn't introduce me as a Cobra.
You asked for it, man. You put in your qualms about the name. I wanted to make sure we're all good here. So no Cobra anymore.
That's good, man. I'm good. The weather is all over the place. It's getting cold and warm all the time. So, I'm just waiting for the summer. But yeah, how you guys doing? How you doing, Chris?
Not too bad, just chilling, just chilling, doing my thing. But yeah, excited to get talking about today. It sounds like Tobias is pretty set on winning this thing here. So
I don't know. I didn't do much research this time, so I might carry the L this round, but we'll see.
Okay.
We gotta get to it, but I do want to mention last week I was in the same boat, and I had a few conversations after we posted the episode with some friends, and they thought my draft went better than it did, but personally I thought I should have prepared more. So let's see how it goes.
All right, let's get into that trivia. Chris, you got a couple questions for us today. We're introducing the new whiteboard here. So for the folks that are watching, we'll show our answers on the whiteboard to make sure we have our correct answers, and then of course we'll announce it for the people that are listening as well. So Chris, when you're ready, hit us with that trivia.
All right, I got 3 questions for you guys this week. Let's see. Are we starting fresh with this whiteboard, or is this? What do you guys?
I think we're tied anyways, so
you're tied. You're tied anyways. All right, so we'll call it a tie. These will be the tiebreaker questions. All right. What unfortunate NBA record do the Brooklyn Nets hold? Is it A, fewest assists in a game, B, fewest rebounds, C, fewest steals in a game, or D, fewest field goals in a game?
Is this all time or this year?
It's all time.
Okay. Assists, rebounds, steals, or field goal?
Field goals, yeah.
And that in that order: assists, rebounds, steals, field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Can't tell if Tobe's is frozen or thinking. Oh, he blinked. He was thinking. All right. Let's see the answers.
I have A.
And you are actually both wrong. The answer is B, rebounds. On January 31st, 2014, the Nets set a record that would probably rather forget, snagging only 17 total rebounds in a 95-120 loss to the OKC.
Damn, that's a quick night, bro. 17.
But imagine, you're a team of professional basketball players, and as a whole, you only managed to grab 17 rebounds. Defensive and
that's crazy.
17 rebounds. It's fucked.
Oh, 17 rebounds. That's like Tobias on the regular ball court, bro. That's
exactly.
Quick.
That's Tobias throwing up the dubs. Double. All right. For this next one, who is the oldest player to score 50-plus points in a game? Is it A, Grant Hill, B, Steve Nash, C, Jamal Crawford, or D, the second greatest player to ever grace of all time, Michael Jordan?
Read me the options again.
You've got A, Grant Hill, B, Steve Nash, C, Jamal Crawford, or D, Michael Jordan. See what these boys got cooking.
Ready?
All right,
yeah.
Let's see. Oh, and you are right, Siyavash.
Yeah, I figured it was that trick question for his Jamal Crawford pick last week.
You guys know how to poke fun at me last week. But yeah, on April 9th, 2019, in a 120-109 season finale loss to the Dallas Mavericks, Phoenix Suns guard Jamal Crawford made NBA history by recording 51 points at the age of 39 years old in 20 days. He broke 2 NBA records that day. He actually took that record from Michael Jordan, who held that at 38 years old. And then he also took who was it? Nick Anderson as well. Took those records from those two.
Sweet.
I remember that game being like, I think that's one of his last games.
I think so, yeah.
Like he played with the Brooklyn Nets for a few games, but that game might have been his last game in that regular stadium because in the bubble he was with the Nets.
Technically still not retired, but yes.
Who? Jamal?
Jamal Crawford, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. That's true.
Yeah. Okay, what's the final one here?
And the last question. Who was the first player in NBA history to lead all players in a playoff series in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks? Is it A, Larry Bird, B, Michael Jordan, C, LeBron James, or D, Wilt Chamberlain? Did you put LeBron James?
It's an O, bro. What are you talking about? It's an O. LeBron. Okay, not LeBron. That's the wrong answer. You know what? I thought LeBron
James.
You know? LeBron. Is he a muffin? The brand muffin?
What are the options again?
You had Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Wilt Chamberlain.
And what were the stats? He led in steals, points, rebounds, and assists.
Points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
I don't know. This guy's confident, so I'll just run with him. But I'll put C, because I feel like it might be Wilt, though.
No, you are both correct. It is LeBron James. In 2016, LeBron James was named the unanimous NBA Finals MVP after leading all players in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks during the series, a feat that had never been accomplished in an NBA playoff series.
Honestly, had you not already pre-raised your board, I would have went Wilt Chamberlain. But
Wilt Chamberlain.
That's a good guess. You know, he was playing with dentists and doctors back then, so I would have probably picked that too. But I think I knew this stat. I actually thought it was in the 2015 finals. I didn't know it was in the 16. But
one of the greatest small forwards to ever play the game, probably the greatest, which is going to lead us into our next segment.
So we're back with the draft. This week we're doing the small forward all-time draft. Now, similar to the past 2 weeks, it is mainly focused on accomplishments, but as you guys saw last week, there's also some biases going on that you might pick some people that you might not have in your top 15. So, this draft, Tobias is going to have the number 1 pick. Chris is going 3rd. I'm going 2nd. And there's 2 names that we left off on last week's draft that is going to be in this week's. That is Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter. These
but are they
going to be in this week's draft.
But are they?
Now, they're in the draft pool. I'll be honest, I'm not taking them. But it's, they're still in the draft pool.
Yeah, I know there's one of us that's very horny for 2 of them because they used to play for their squad. But
well, it's not for the squad. I'm just saying, when, again, doing research for all of this, all of the lists and the things I pulled and referenced have had those players listed as small forwards.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on position.
But again, that is just me. So,
all right. Well,
so you're allowed to have your opinion, bro. You're allowed to have your opinion.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're all gonna have our picks. So, Tobias, you want to hit us off with the number 1 pick?
Yeah. First overall, this guy's got a couple championships under his belt. Does have 1 Finals MVP. Used to play for Philadelphia. I'm pretty sure he played for Denver. Pretty sure he played for Miami and went to the finals this past year. When the aliens come down, who do I want? I want Iggy.
Open shot. Fate of the universe on the line, or the Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth. You better hit it. I want Iguodala.
Nah, bro. I'm just saying.
Andre Iguodala.
I'm just saying.
Iguodala.
Nah, bro. I'm not saying the name because I feel like there's gonna be a clause in here somewhere that'll be like, nah, Tobe, you took Iguodala. You said
took
his
it.
name. Yeah, exactly. So no. In all seriousness, the kid from Akron, Ohio, LeBron James, 4-time champion, 4-time Finals MVP, 4-time MVP of the league as well. Averaged 27.1, 7.4, 7.4 for assists and for rebounds. Not going to send any sneak disses, although I could. LeBron James.
LeBron James. LeBron James. LeBron James.
Dude, with the tradition, last week Chris picked MJ, and he said the second greatest player of all time. I thought you were going to kind of give a ranking.
You know what, bro?
Said the greatest.
You know, you just sometimes you gotta elevate. You know, you gotta be the bigger person.
This guy.
I see you.
I mean, physically speaking, I am the bigger person. But
This is true.
Hey, we're not comparing sizes. All right.
Yeah.
I'll go with the number 2 pick of the all-time small forward draft. I am going with Larry Legend.
Yes, Larry
This
Legend.
guy.
is he from League of
Look,
Legends?
man.
Just kidding.
No, he's not. He is. He would have been the greatest small forward of all time if LeBron never came in the league.
I have
This
a
guy
question.
has 3 champ.
Do you? I'll let you say your facts, but think about this while let this percolate while you're reading off your facts. Do you think that Larry Legend is the greatest white basketball player of all time?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
I can't think of.
like the people say on the internet. I don't see color, Tobias. Just kidding. I see color. But
No, look, man. This guy. I mean, we know their stats: 3-time MVP, 3-time champion, 12-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA. But the stories about this guy, just going up to some, like I think Larry Nance it was. He goes up to him. He's like, "Hey, is your brother this guy that I went to school with that beat my brother in basketball?" He's like, "Yeah." All right, I dropped 50 on you.
jeez.
He goes into the All-Star 3-point contest locker room. He says, "Who's gonna come in second in here?"
Yeah, exactly. He's cutthroat.
The level of
Man,
oh man,
that's
I love that
confidence.
kind of confidence.
That's that swagger. That's what you need.
And he was like, he took offense to being like, "Hey, that's a white guy. He's not gonna be nice." He was like, "No, I'm gonna show you I'm nice, even though I'm white. I'm gonna show you. I don't care what
I
you
mean,
guys say about
basketball
me."
was a white person's sport to start out with, so there were.
But I mean, you also,
And
you take it back to even Magic and Larry whenever they played in university. It was who did Larry play for? Was it Indiana?
we don't know.
I know
Might be.
Magic played for Michigan State, but they had a rivalry since then. They came to the league. Boston versus LA. That's already a rivalry in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, Larry is cutthroat for sure.
I love it, Chris. Let's go.
All right. With my first pick in this draft, now I know there's already going to be some qualms coming from a Mr. I mean, okay, I'm pointing to, I guess it would be this side, but see, that is where Siyavash is. So, yeah, it's basically only going to come from Siyavash. I'm going to be taking Mr. Kevin Durant.
What?
What are you saying? What?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Kevin Durant, standing over, 7 feet tall, averages around, 27 points per game on 49.3% shooting in his career. He's what is he here? That's also helped make him an all 10 all-star appearances right there. That's Kevin Durant, people. Yes, a lot of people are saying Mr. Durant.
A lot of people. Let's see about you.
What do you
I
mean?
think his
I haven't said
championships don't
anything.
count, and it's like, yes, there may be like some merit to that. It's like, yes, you did go to a fucking stacked Warriors to win those, but at the end of the day, when it's all said and done and the dust settles, Kevin Durant is probably going to go down as one of, if not the best scorers like in the league. So.
Oh yeah, 100%. And had he not gotten injured, he would have won that ring over the Raptors as well.
Probably, yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
You said probably.
Yeah.
No, you know
But
what?
according to Siyavash, that ring would have counted either. So
I never said that. First of all, I never said that. Like you bring in pre-pod combo, but what I said to give the listeners an insight is that I'm not gonna say they're meaningless. I'm not gonna say those teams would have won those championships without Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
What I will say is that his impact is not. Those rings don't mean as much to me as other rings.
Yeah.
And I think anybody can kind of have those rankings to say, hey, for example, MJ's first ring means more than Kevin Durant's first ring.
Yeah.
And I think you can have those kind of evaluations. Other than that, this guy is an incredible player. He's one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. He's probably the greatest scorer of our generation.
I think so.
What
Carmelo,
threw me
James
off,
Harden.
though, with his like being one of the, because how old is Kevin Durant? What is he?
He's like 32.
Yeah, like it kind of threw me off that he wasn't higher on the all-time scoring list with being such like being the prolific scorer that he is. Like he's not higher up on that like list, which is weird. But
He's still got time for sure. And I think him and James Harden are kind of playing constant matchups. The catch-ups. They're constantly like, either passing each other or just kind of carrying each
just
other
kind
to
of
the
being
top.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then since I'm last, I have back-to-back picks. So with my second pick, I'll be picking the Doctor, Dr. J.
Hey.
Okay. Let's see.
The big fro. No, I like it
Fro.
because that was someone I had kind of forecasted on picking. But yeah, big fro Dr.
He's
J.
Irving. He's holds some ridiculous averages. 24.2 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game. He's tied for the most All-Star game appearances with 16, and he's won 4 MVP awards. Irving's also won 4 championships. So that's a pretty stacked resume for the Doctor.
And what would a draft be without a Tobe obscure fact? So I'll give you 2 here. Michael Jordan, of course, my GOAT, says that his GOAT is actually Dr. J. So that's his legend. He thinks that Dr. J is the greatest player of all time. And actually, Dr. J was in a episode of The Office. So that's pretty cool.
Really?
In the later season, whenever
He was?
Jim goes to the sports agency, he's like shooting hoops with Dr. J. Yeah,
No
pretty
way.
sick.
Oh, man. I gotta catch up on that show.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Nice.
And then-
I do want to say, man, like as you said, he was MJ's favorite player, but also I think Shaq. I remember reading his book back in the day. He said he really was trying to be like Dr. J because back then having the finger roll and kind of he led that kind of style at the league at the time. But yeah,
And Shaq
Yeah, very,
All right.
very swaggy.
not have a finger roll. That's all I'm saying. It's pure power. But
We referenced it last episode, but you remember the video game NBA Street Volume 2?
you
guys ever play that?
Was it Stretch that like
Stretch.
That's,
There's Stretch that was modeled after Dr. J, tall with a big fro. There was Bonafide, which was my favorite player, which was
remember.
after AI with the braids. Yeah, sick game.
oh, that was a sick game, bro. Those games were just different back then.
They don't make them like that anymore. But anyway, see your pick.
All right, with the second round, my second pick of the all-time small forward draft.
Oh, this
Tobias
guy's
is holding his
sweaty.
neck.
He's
Because
Sweaty
I know who you're gonna pick, and I want him, bro.
I don't know if you know who I'm gonna pick.
I do
but this
know.
guy. Listen, I used to play 2K15, and there used to be a challenge. I'm just gonna give a quick story. There used to be a challenge that you had to beat the Lakers with this all Celtics lineup, and this player helped me out so much. And back then, I didn't know who he was. Then I did some research. He's one of the greatest Celtics of all time. Hondo, John Havlicek.
Yeah.
This guy, to me, he's one of the most prolific scorers we've seen. And, 8-time champion, man. This guy, finals MVP, 13-time All-Star, 8-time All-Defense. Listen, man, this guy is one of the greatest small forwards, one of the greatest scorers of his time.
I am very glad you said his last name because the way he sounds like, oh, that's how you say that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know how to say it?
Yeah. I was like, is it Havlick? Havlick?
Havlick?
Havlick?
So, Tobias, I didn't pick who you were looking at. So,
Yeah, you
I'm
did.
excited to see it. You wanted Hav?
I wanted
Oh,
John
nice.
Havlicek. Yeah. Like
Nice.
you said, 8-time champion. So he's kind of pretty good, I guess. Fuck, that makes this difficult, and it's not difficult, but it's looking at the guys that were just drafted. I wanted those guys, and not to say that these next 2 that I'm gonna pick aren't as good. But here we go. gonna take the guy that Jordan gives credit to for winning the championship.
I called.
I knew it.
I fucking
I knew it.
called this.
What?
Go ahead.
No, because I was talking to C about it. But no, go ahead. Pick Mr. Pippen. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Scottie Pippen averaged 2 steals a game. I think if you can average 2 steals a game, that's pretty talented, any era, because that just shows your impact on the court. Pretty sure Michael had 2.2, just saying. Assists 5.2, 6.4 rebounds. Didn't average a lot of points, but he wasn't there to put up the points. He was there to be that defensive anchor and that two-way player for Mike. Obviously, also won 6 rings as well.
A little bit of better defense with future. Might still have your wife, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
This next guy, I wasn't gonna take him. Because when you look at accolades, he doesn't really rack up the accolades. But when you look at impact as a player, significance to the league, and how he helped shape the league into what it is today, it's hard to overlook him. He did just recently pass away. So RIP to Elgin Baylor. Played for the Lakers. I'm pretty sure played for the Clippers as well. But I know for sure that he played for the Lakers. One of the greatest scorers of that era, averaged 27.4 points, 13 rebounds, 4.3 assists. Yeah, as a small forward. I did say before the podcast that there was a little fun fact that I was going to toss out. In the 61-62 season, Elgin Baylor could only play on the weekends because he was actually fighting in the war. So it's pretty cool. And this guy was averaging, I think it was like 38 points and 19 rebounds.
So
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So what would they do? Fly him to war to go fight, potentially almost die every time, and then Friday they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, we got to send you back so you can go play your basketball games."
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Hey, bro.
What team agreed
like
to this? What team was this?
This is Lakers.
Say, I'm gonna go. Okay.
Yeah. And that's where again he never won a championship. Unfortunately, he was one of those long list of guys, like a guy like Derrick Rose, that their career was kind of halted because of injuries. But the actual impact that he had, one of the greatest scorers of all time. Obviously, not touching a guy like Kevin Durant, who can really do it everywhere. But Elgin Baylor was definitely one of the greats. So yeah.
And I don't want to make fun of war and any of that, but I do want to say this guy was a literal shooter off and on the court.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Like literally. All right. With the third round. Now this kind of gets difficult. There's a name up here I want to take, but I also want to kind of keep it spicy. I'm gonna kind of keep going with my white boys. These guys are shooters. These guys are great players. I'm gonna go with Rick Barry, one-time champion, Finals MVP. Scoring champion, 8-time All-Star. This guy, played for the Warriors, and he was just one of the greatest scorers of his time. As you just talked about Elgin Baylor, these guys are just great scorers. This guy averaged 24.8 points per game in his career. So, yeah, Rick Barry. And I think he was a Finals MVP as well in 1975.
Yeah.
Dang, okay.
Chris?
Wow. All right. Well, jeez, okay.
Is that your guy? Was that who you were looking at, Rick Barry?
Me? No. I'm actually looking at somebody a little bit higher up on the list.
I know who he's going.
Yeah. Who do you think I'm going?
I'll tell you. Here, I'll write it down on the whiteboard, and then
Draw me a picture. Draw me a picture. Let me see it.
No, you got to say it.
I gotta
The
say
numbers
it.
are short.
Gotta say it.
Yeah.
All right. This with my what is this? My third pick?
Yeah.
Yeah. With my third pick, I'm going to select the Claw.
Oh.
Kawhi Leonard.
I said T-Mac.
Oh God, no. God.
Look at my claw.
That's why I said drawing.
And that's
Look at my claw, bro.
Yeah. And
That's
that's
terrible. That's a
unfortunate
chicken
because
wing.
that's who I wanted to take my next pick. But tell us why you took Kawhi Leonard.
Well, taking Kawhi Leonard just because he's been in the league for what 10 years? 10 years?
10 years.
10 years? 10 years now, I guess. Yeah, but like the resume that this guy's built up it's something that most players would be like, fuck, like I'm trying to end my career like this. So like looking at it, Leonard is already a 4-time All-Star, an All-Star Game MVP, a 5-time All-Defensive Team member, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and a 2-time champion and a 2-time Finals MVP.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say Leonard carried the Raptors to their first ever championship, and it'd be a lie to say that Leonard did not play a big part in getting the Raptors that championship. So for that, I'm selecting the Claw.
Yeah, let's also give notice to him for the Spurs as well. Like you're on a team with Timmy Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Those are 2 guys we've already drafted, but Kawhi Leonard won the Finals MVP on that squad. He was influential in locking down LeBron. One of my favorite LeBron clips is LeBron's at the free throw line. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he's one of the few players to be able to lock down LeBron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, LeBron's sitting there at the free throw line and he sees Kawhi get stepped in. He's like, "Fuck!" Like he's like pissed. Yeah, so he knows, man. He's like, "Ah, shit." Like, no, I'm not putting anything up. But yeah, good pick, man.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you. Oh, there's a couple of other ones here that I'm looking at, but I think with my 4th pick, I will be selecting. Now this is another guy that has yet to win a championship, but he has definitely been one of the most dominant scorers, like during his career. I am selecting. Oh, I'm seeing your face right now. Seeing your face. I already told you. I was drafting. I'm
with the braids.
With the braids,
Yeah.
Mr.
Melo.
Right now, even though his career is not done, Carmelo went on to average 21 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 1.2 steals a game. In his 18 years at 19. Is this 19?
Probably 18.
18 now?
Yeah, 2003. They got drafted. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 18-year career. Yeah. So make 10 All-Star game appearances. He's gonna win in a scoring title and average better than 20 points per game for 16 years in a row, basically. Like, when it's all said and done again, this guy has definitely made a case to make it into the Hall of Fame for sure.
Oh, for sure.
100%. So, again, it kind of sucks. He hasn't been able to win a championship yet. He may be another one of those players that finishes his NBA career without ever winning one. But, again, phenomenal career coming from this guy. So
one thing we didn't mention during the LeBron pick that when we're looking at Carmelo, I think it's important to kind of consider is the longevity.
Yeah,
both these guys have had. Like LeBron's kind of different. He's literally one of the best top 3 best players in the league right now.
Probably the best player in the world.
And Melo is right now. He's coming off the bench, I think. But still, these guys' longevity is incredible, and I think they should definitely get some credit for that. 18 years is amazing.
Yeah,
that's a long time to be doing anything. 18 years.
That's an adult, bro.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're sending his career off to college, like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Start it all over again.
Jeez.
Okay, so with my 4th pick, the 4th round pick, I will be taking. Now, this is a little bit of a difficult decision. I got 2 names in front of me. I'm going to go with a bit of a championship DNA. I'm taking my guy, James Worthy.
Yeah. Dang it.
The other name in front of me was Dominique Wilkins. He's a human island machine, but I'm taking the championship. 3 championships, Finals MVP, 7-time All-Star, Hall of Famer, Lakers legend. He's still on the Lakers Game Days TV show. He's always talking about like the game. He's still involved in the franchise. And I just, to me, I would like this guy on my team. He's a great defensive player as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my 4th round pick.
Yeah.
Things are looking a little scarce over here.
What you got?
I don't got much. The crops aren't really flourishing that much, but there's one guy that he's not going to be here by the time. Why? Because I have back-to-back picks. This guy recently is in a bit of hot water, but I got to take my guy, the IG Live King, Paul Pierce. Played 1,300 games, basically. Averaged just about 20 points, 5.6 rebounds, 3.5 assists, one-time champion, one-time finals MVP on that really great Celtics squad with Kevin Garnett, Rajon Rondo, and Ray Allen. Paul Pierce, he's nothing that's extremely flashy. He was obviously a great scorer in his time. Has some definitely hot takes when it comes to his NBA analyst position.
Absolutely.
Pretty sure he just Said Dwayne Wade was not good or something like that. Or he had some weird take about Dwayne Wade. Yeah. I also think he said LeBron's not in his top 5, which is again, as a Jordan guy, I can at least say that LeBron is in everyone's top 5. But he's tossing out some weird takes for sure. But for that pick, I'll take Paul Pierce, and this is my final pick, right? Coming up on 5.
Yes, sir.
Oh, this makes it really difficult. I do have a few options here, and there's one guy I really want to go off the board for, just because he did win 7 rings, but I'm not gonna pick him. Robert Horry is the guy I'm referencing. Talk about championship DNA. He wins with the Lakers, the Bulls, the Spurs. That's not who I'm taking though. Man, this is difficult. I'm gonna steal your pick, Siyavash, and I'm gonna go with the human highlight reel. Dominique Wilkins, really again never won a championship, never really won any majors awards, but 25 points, 6.7 rebounds, 2.5 assists. When we look at some of the greatest dunkers of all time, Dominique Wilkins is right at the top of that list. Atlanta Hawks legend. Yeah, that's who I'm going with.
It upsets me that I mentioned him.
Oh, he was on my list either way, but
okay. And I don't even know why I mentioned him, because now the list, as you say, kind of starts wearing thin.
It's very thin.
And I start, it's difficult. My next pick, I'm gonna take Denver Nuggets legend Alex English. He was one of the. When I think of him, I kind of think of somebody like Paul George.
Yeah, ABA legend too.
Absolutely, he was a great scorer in the 80s. At the time, he was kind of a good defensive player and a great scorer in his position. He would lead his team sometimes to the playoffs, other times they were not as successful. So he was probably the closest comparison I can have to Paul George. Paul George is on my list, but personally, if somebody's nickname is Way Off P or, Pandemic P, I don't know if I want them on my top 5, so...
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of guys I have over Paul George for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, even Grant Hill, Chris Mullin. I might even take Peja Stojakovic.
Peja Stojakovic. Fucking legend.
I love that guy. All right, Chris.
Yeah, it's getting kind of thin here, so it's my last pick. We brought up names like Chris Mullin, stuff like that. Man's a Warriors legend. What was your point? What was that thing? The
thing.
They had a playoff of like a run TMC, something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But
there was 2 other players. I don't remember their names. Yeah.
Yeah, but God, this is tough because I know I'm probably gonna catch some heat for my last pick. Pretty much. Again, for these, maybe if you're a first-time viewer, last week when we did shooting guards, again, I don't want to call it a throwaway pick, but I just got to bust out the whiteboard.
We got to get the whiteboards for this one.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't fast enough to write it.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah.
Tobias gets a point.
Yeah. Tobias gets a point. Ding ding ding. Winner chicken dinner. But yeah, for my last one, I will more than likely I'm going to be selecting Mr. Vince Carter. It was really a toss up between him and Tracy McGrady. Now Tracy McGrady again, he's one of those players that his potential was definitely stunted due to injuries and things like that, and it 100% sold his role. But Tracy McGrady was still an amazing player. But when I think back to like my early days of basketball, the only players, and shut the fuck up, Tobias, that I knew of back then or could name without flaw was one, Michael Jordan and Vince Carter. Those were,
Hold up.
yeah, those
It's
were
interesting that you didn't say LeBron James.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Even though he wasn't in the
not
league.
playing back
Even
then.
though he wasn't in the league.
He wasn't even in the league. Like I'm talking early days. Bro.
No, I know. Yeah.
Early days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you know, Vince Carter had an impressive 24-year career. For sure, he's
yeah.
going to be a future Hall of Famer. Most people probably know him from his time spent with the Raptors and the New Jersey Nets, stuff like that. You know, Carter's an 8-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA team member, and he also won Rookie of the Year in 1998. And I think he finished his career with 19 most points in NBA history. I don't know, maybe that might have jostled around now, but still, pretty impressive resume. And you can never forget this man's fucking epic dunk
Yeah.
in the Olympics, dunking over that 7-foot man. Like the guy, he basically made the man look like he was 5'5", the way he jumped over him for that throwdown. Now we are probably going to see another dunk like that coming from another one of my favorite players, but we're not talking about this man right now. We're talking about Mr. Vince Carter.
Did that guy that you're referencing, your favorite player, did he win Rookie of the Year?
I think he also did win Rookie of the Year too. Yes, he did.
Interesting. It was
Crazy.
Was it? Did he play for the Bulls?
No, he wouldn't play for
okay,
a franchise like that. No way.
This is never gonna stop, huh?
Wow, that's crazy. Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pretty much wraps up my picks there. So I got Mr. Kevin Durant, Julius Erving, Kawhi Leonard, Carmelo Anthony, and Vince Carter. Boom. That's my squad.
My squad was Larry Legend, John Havlicek, Rick Barry, James Worthy, and at last Alex English.
And my squad, I got Scottie Pippen, Jordan's Robin. I got Paul Pierce, the IG Live King. I got Dominique Wilkins, the human highlight reel. Elgin Baylor, one of the greatest scorers and war veterans of all time. And I got the kid from Akron, Ohio, LeBron James.
The kid.
Okay, so there were a couple people that were left off the list, and obviously it did get a little thin near the end, as we mentioned. But a couple guys that kind of, were on my radar, but unfortunately didn't get drafted, were Chris Mullin, who was on that dream team back in '92. Tracy McGrady, T-Mac, which you referenced. Grant Hill, who was one of the greatest players coming out of college, had high potential to be the next Jordan. He was, LeBron James before LeBron James was in the league. And you mentioned Paul George and Peja, who were a little lower on the list, but you also have a guy in Larry Johnson, so shout out to Space Jam on that one. But maybe give your reasons, Chris and Siyavash, as to why some of those guys got left off your list and why they weren't drafted by your squad.
I can go first.
Like you named. Oh, sorry. Did you say you wanted to go first, C?
No, it's okay, man. It's okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Age, maturity, respect. Go ahead.
No, sorry. It's just that that tiny little bit of latency. What's that audio there? But yeah, no. For me, again, I think I was talking to C about this. For when I make these lists, yes, I definitely look at these players accolades and their resumes and the things that they've done and accomplished in their career. But then I also float back to a very much Tobias way, like Space Jam way of like nostalgia, like this guy gave me the side eye. I don't think that's side eye.
Yo, that side eye, I might have to clip that one, bro.
Like
that side eye is a
like
great
Space
video.
Jam. Space Jam is not. It's not one of the best movies out there, but for a lot of people growing up in that era with Space Jam, it is one of their favorite movies and shit like that. So that is also the way I draft like a little bit, which is why again for my last pick I picked Vince Carter over like Chris Mullin or Billy Cunningham, players like that. And then as far as like talking to like Paul George, players like Paul George, Peja, Sean Marion. Sean Marion was also like another player that like I watched a lot of like growing up too.
Matrix.
Yeah.
But yeah, like players like that, they were just a little bit higher on the list. And because you guys gave me so much fucking flack the last time for picking a player that was a little higher on the list, I was like, obviously I can't do that.
A little higher, bro.
Bro, he wasn't that much higher. He was not that much higher.
Nah, he was.
No, he wasn't. He was on the list. I think he was like at 26. And Paul George is sitting on the list. I'm looking at Paul
Bro,
George.
you could have picked Jimmy Butler.
I could have picked anybody else.
Reggie.
I picked,
Reggie Miller.
I picked. I said it with my chest, and I picked him. All right.
I can hear the smack.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as Chris, man. These guys, another name I don't think that was mentioned right now was Adrian Dantley. He was a Jazz player. He was really good back then. Also a 2K legend. These guys, it's just kind of a toss-up. You just got to have some bias in between these guys to be able to pick them or, pick someone else. For me, Chris Mullin might have been my next pick if I had one. He was one of those players during the Warriors era that's just one of the influential players at that time. He was shooting a three as a small forward. I think he was 6'8".
Yeah.
Tall guy just shooting a three quick, and he's another guy that's part of the media with the Warriors right now that you see him in the broadcast at times.
Rocking a mean buzz cut, too. Fucking military buzz cut.
that's a mean buzz cut.
It's a clean buzz cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes on impact too. Like as you guys mentioned, nostalgia is a big factor, and impact. While sometimes players like Elgin Baylor, Dominique Wilkins, they never won a championship, but the impact that they had on the game, whether it be in dunks, whether it be actually, you know what? Another obscure fact I looked up while I was reading about Elgin Baylor last week. We talked about Manu Ginobili and the Euro step. He actually didn't bring the Euro step in. Elgin Baylor brought the Euro step in. It was actually I was surprised. I don't know why. I don't know how it came to be the Euro step, but if you look back in the 60s, Elgin was doing the initial Euro step. But yeah, so again, impact that these players had on the league sometimes supersedes the accolades that they retire with.
I don't know why. I just had this vision of like all these old players dribbling like this, and El just coming in like, hey.
Yeah.
Like you see, giving them jelly.
Bro, can you imagine you're a player like in today's league, like a guy like maybe Devin Booker, and you find a time travel machine and you go back to play in the 60s or the 70s?
Yeah.
Dude, you're cooking everybody.
You're cooking.
Oh, yeah.
You would leave.
Even Kyrie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
But,
All right, see, you want to take us into the next segment here?
Yeah, just give me one moment. My chair just slowly went down.
Sure.
Be doing that. Yeah, so with the next segment, I just wanted to talk to you guys about the current MVP rankings and most valuable player in this league right now. At the start of the year, we give our predictions. I think that two of us had Joel Embiid. I don't remember if Chris had someone else like LeBron.
LeBron, yeah, but obviously with injuries, things like that, this man has gone pretty low.
And injuries has been affecting almost everybody on this list that we're about to talk about. You got Joel Embiid. He's been out for 30 games. He's only played like 33 games. You got somebody like James Harden. He was playing well. He kind of went out for a few games. You got Kevin Durant. Hasn't been playing a lot. You got Giannis even. He's been injured. So all these injuries has been kind of just dwindling the list down to just a few names. Now, we got couple names that have been there all along. Somebody like a Nikola Jokic. You got a Damian Lillard. You got a Stephen Curry. Now, before we get into these, Luka, you know what? I almost forgot about Luka. But when you bring up Luka as well, Luka Magic, there is some conversation I want to have right now. Where do you guys stand with the winning aspect of the MVP?
Clarify your question.
Like, do you mean like does the MVP candidate need to be on a winning team to?
Yeah, because what I'm hearing constantly right now is the Jazz are the number one team in the league. Why is nobody talking about Donovan Mitchell? And to me personally, when I look at the MVP, I look at how the player is playing first, and then I look at how much they are winning. So to you guys, for example, if a player is in the first seed, averaging an All-NBA first team kind of stats versus a player that's in the fourth seed, or somebody like a Luka that's in the seventh seed, averaging an all-time great stats. How much does winning matter to you when it comes to the MVP?
I think it's pretty important. I mean, let's look at two players here. So you have Steph Curry, who clearly is the most valuable player on his team. However, when you look at the team, and again, it's not his fault, but whenever you look at the team, they're sitting at the 9th spot right now. Versus a guy like Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid in the Eastern Conference, the Philadelphia 76ers. For probably, if not all the year, for most of the year, Philly's held that number 1 spot. And Joel Embiid has been a huge factor. Fair or unfair, predominantly how the MVP is decided is based on player impact of the team and position of the team when finished. Usually it's the top 3 seeds that get a look for the MVP. But you look at the West, I think the Nuggets have done a good job to climb back up the standings, and they're currently sitting at 4, which is, why Nikola Jokic has definitely gotten a lot of recognition. Chris, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess winning does play a pretty large factor into this, because again, you had to touch back on your Steph Curry point. It's Steph has done nothing but carry this team, and you've seen how impactful he is when he is on the court versus when he is not on the court. Just blew out their fucking backs when he sat. And then he comes back, and I know. And then again, you see him throwing up numbers. It kind of sucks to see when they lost the other day to the Celtics, right? Curry dropped. That was weird. I had a little brain fart. I wanted to call him Steppen, and then my brain's no, call him Curry. So I almost said Sturry. I was that's weird. But yeah, he dropped 47 points, and they still ended up losing, right? So at the end of the day, yeah, I guess winning is a pretty big factor for that. But then that also, I don't know, it does leave me a little confused too, because I did have this conversation with my friend the other day, and he was saying that Chris Paul deserves to be up higher in the list of players for the MVP race, because you look at the Suns, and the Suns are sitting at second.
Yep.
So it's pretty close to first.
Yeah, exactly. So it's why is Chris Paul not being mentioned? And looking at a list on NBA.com, they do have Devin Booker and Chris Paul sitting, I guess, probably from spots 11 to 15 in this kind of race. But it's is a player like Chris Paul not higher up? So I don't really know. So then that makes me think is winning not all that important then? Because then those players should automatically be high. But then I guess it does boil down to a stats thing, and Paul's stats aren't, up to par as some of these other players on the list. So I don't know.
Yeah, what you guys are saying kind of to me is the way that I look at it. So for example, Steph, I look at it, I'm like, oh, this guy's putting up crazy numbers. At the same time, his team is not even in the top 5. And I wanted to come in here and say my idea of who should be in the MVP race in case of winning is the top 4 seeds. Because if you're in the top 4 seeds, you got a home court advantage. You're good for home court. You have an advantage over other teams. And to me, I'm going to say this, in 2018, in my mind, in my heart, LeBron James should have won that MVP over James Harden. Now, James Harden won it, deservingly so. The Rockets were the first seed. But to me, that's the best version of LeBron we've seen in the regular season. And we saw it in the playoffs. The guy dropped 52 points in the finals in the first game. He was dropping 40 points after 40 points. He carried that team over 2-game 7 series to the finals. And in that regular season, in my mind, LeBron was MVP, but he didn't get that credit because he's a fourth seed. Mm-hmm. And there's this narrative that you have to be in the top 3 seeds to win the MVP. And I think it has to be extended to the fourth seed. I think that just makes sense to me, that you have that full home court advantage. You've done good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled up the same article here that you got, Chris, the Kia MVP league race. They got Jokic at 1, Embiid at 2, Luka at 3. So we're talking about standings. Mavericks are sitting at 7. But again, you look at the impact that Luka has on that team, you're kind of really walking the line between, all right, what is really important here? Is it, position in the play, like you mentioned, top 4 seed, or is it impact to the team? Because what's the play-in tournament? 7 to 10?
Yes.
You're not giving the MVP to a guy that's playing in a play-in tournament. You know what I mean? Because maybe he doesn't even win. Maybe he doesn't even get in the playoffs. So. Yeah, it's interesting.
And because then it's like, you're just saying you're not giving it to a guy that low, but it's like, what if this guy helped carry his team to make it to that spot, to at least get a chance to play in that play-in tournament, Because then, you're almost
maybe I would look
all of that person's hard work and everything that they put into this team, because it's easy for a player who's on a team with a lot of other good or well-rounded players to make it to a first, second, third, or fourth seed, right? And then now you're in talks for MVP, because I guess you may be averaging like good stats and good numbers, but it's like you're not playing with bums. You're playing with good players to help even and round out the team to carry you to like that whatever seed like you're in now.
Would you say the same thing for Trae Young in Atlanta? They're currently sitting at a 4 spot, which is insane. I'm mind blown by that because, not a couple episodes ago, but usually when we started this podcast, they were not doing so hot, right? The Heat were up at like 3, 4. The Heat are now down to 7. So, with that same argument, the Luka impact to Dallas, would you make that argument for Trae Young to Atlanta? Again, I don't know his stats, but similar sort of situation.
Look at those stats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
while you're looking up the stats, sorry, finish up your Trae Young, because I was gonna go off on something else.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because when you look at the two teams, just off the top of my head, of course you got a big in Clint Capella and Kristaps Porzingis. You got your role players around you, but Trae Young is that guy. He's that guy on that team, similar to Luka. Luka's obviously a much better player, but when we're talking impact to the team. How does he rank up in the MVP race?
I do want to say, when we talk about taking a player off the team and we talk about impact, I agree that when you take Luka off that team, they're probably not going to be a playoff team. But in that same sentence, I think that argument is not valid unless they're in that top 4. The player has to have enough impact to be able to carry them to that home court, to be able to have that conversation with the MVP. If you've taken him to the playoffs, I think that's good enough for him. Like, hey man, what you've done is great. Now, if your team was a little bit better, then you do deserve to be MVP. But if we talk about impact, LeBron should have won it the past 10 years.
Yeah, fair enough.
And that's what it is with the impact. If the Mavs were 4th seed and you said, hey, if you take Luka off this team and this team is not even a top 12 seed, I would agree. Give this guy the MVP.
If the Clippers finish on top in the West, do you look at I don't even have them in my top 5 right now, but if the Clippers finish number 1 in the West, do you look at Kawhi Leonard as maybe a higher nod for an MVP candidate?
I mentioned him. I think it was a few weeks ago. I think he's been playing great. At the same time, he has been taking games off or missing games as well. I think that's the most interesting conversation right now is, if the season goes on and somebody like Joel Embiid plays the rest of the season, are you going to look at him as the MVP because he missed over 20 games?
Fair.
And that conversation, I think, kind of extends to players like James Harden, Kawhi, and all these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
But to go back to our main point, I think right now, Nikola Jokic is the clear front runner.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
and I'm interested, I don't know about you guys, I'm really interested to see what he's going to do these last, I think, 10, 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jamal Murray's out, and we have to see what he's going to have in his bag. If he's going to keep up the numbers, if the numbers are going to go up, if they're going to go down, I want to see what he got going on.
That's true.
That'll
That'll be interesting for sure.
Look back on and answer like your Trae Young question. Looking at his stats, like right now, he's averaging, it looks like 25.4 points, 9.5 assists. Yeah, like, and 3.9 rebounds. And it's like, yeah, like I wouldn't, I don't know the stats of like the next, like the guys from 6 to 10.
Sure.
But, you know.
But he's averaging almost a double-double.
Yeah. So I would, personally, I would include him. I would include Trae and probably, like, you know, players again, like Devin Booker and Chris Paul and shit like that for, like, again, the impact that they are having on their teams.
On their team, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand with the Chris Paul thing. Because he's averaging, I think, like 18 points? To me,
I feel like
you
it's
have to be
less than
doing
that.
more.
20 points.
Even then, like, you have to be doing more to me. It's about the most valuable
But it's like,
player. And
again,
stats is number
stats
one.
aren't everything, though, because yes, Chris Paul could be averaging more points, but Chris Paul is also bringing a lot of other intangible things to that
For
team.
sure.
As well. He's bringing that, like, experience, that leadership, like, things like that to elevate this team and take them to the next level. Yes, he may not be dropping 28 points a game or whatever it is, but he is helping those younger players shape and grow into better, more developed, and well-rounded players to make the team overall a better team.
Yeah, the Suns are a play-in team if Chris Paul is not there.
I agree. I do agree with that. I just think, okay, what's the difference between Chris Paul and a role player in that sentence?
And
The role player comes in and just plays that role of being able to kind of lead off other people, makes other players better because he's playing his role.
like a role player, like how, like who, like would you say,
Like like a Andre Iguodala,
like Andre Iguodala?
like a Draymond Green. Draymond Green makes Steph a better player.
Mm-hmm.
Draymond Green plays a role. I will strongly say if Draymond is not on that team, they're not even a 10 seed. Now, if they make the top 3 seed, are we gonna start looking at Draymond? Because oh my God, he's like, I think that to me, I'm not gonna say Chris Paul is a bad pick, but to me, I would like to see more of an impact on the scoring, and you have to be a threat. You have to be an offensive threat in my mind, at least.
But so are you telling me that Chris Paul is not an offensive threat? So if Chris Paul was on the floor, you would shove off Chris Paul and be like, I'm not worried about you. Let me focus on somebody else.
I can't say that, but at the same time, do you think Chris Paul is dropping 30 a night if they keep pushing off of him? If they keep playing off of him, do you think he's dropping 30 a night?
But he also does things on the back end as well. Pause. But
He does.
steals,
He
right? Like, so I don't know.
he's a
Man.
great
That's a
defensive player,
great
yeah.
point though, Siyavash. Like for sure. Like the Draymond comparison is really good. Like again, we just talked about how stats are and everything, but you know you are maybe gonna look away from Draymond at the 3 where you're not with Chris Paul. But that's a great comparison. You know, they bring the same kind of leadership impact off the court. So how much do you value Chris Paul?
Yeah, but I feel like too also, right, in respects to like Draymond, when you have players like Clay on the court with you, Steph on the court with you, even when you had Kevin Durant, that does allow Draymond to fall back, and I want to say he could almost cruise, and then as like the younger guys come in or the newer guys, Draymond can be like, this is how we do things. Let me coach you. Let me help you. Let me do this. Blah 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 blah. And he can kind of take that role. So then it's like the players like Steph, Clay, and when Durant was playing could focus on the scoring and shit like that. Because a lot of people say, like, if you take Draymond away and you plop him on another team to try and be like, be the guy or help whatever on this team, like a lot of people were like, Draymond probably wouldn't be as successful.
Has Chris Paul been the guy the past 5 years?
What do you mean?
Yeah, like what do you mean?
We were just talking about put
Being-
him on another team, put Draymond on another team. I'm asking, has Chris Paul been the guy on any team the past 5 years?
OKC.
I'm gonna say
His-
yes.
His impact with
would-
OKC was great. His impact with Phoenix has been great. Obviously, they didn't when he was in Houston. Weren't they potentially going to the conference finals and then he got injured?
No,
Or they were in the conference finals?
what I'm asking. Is he the guy? Is he the first option? And I'm saying that OKC, I think it was equal.
No, because he's not, and he's never been the guy. Because that's not his game. He is your prototypical point guard. He's a facilitator. He's a floor general. He's not out there to be the guy. When he was in Los Angeles, he wasn't the guy.
And that's how I feel about Draymond. And I feel like Draymond's never going to be the guy that's going to get you, like, going to go out there and be like, hey, I'm going to score first. Draymond is very much like a facilitator. And he's going to make whatever team he's on better.
I don't
But
know.
I think
don't know.
Chris
you
Paul's
tell me.
impact
You
is
put
bigger.
Draymond.
Yeah, because again, if we're comparing
I'm not
Chris
gonna
Paul to
disagree.
Draymond, like Tobias said, like Chris Paul's impact, I think will always be bigger than Draymond. Like I feel like if you would have taken both players and like the exact same things, plopped them on different teams for the exact same amount of time, and blah blah blah, Chris Paul's impact will be bigger than what Draymond will give you.
And
You're
that's
good-
what I was talking about when it comes to scoring. But sorry, go ahead.
You're gonna guard Chris Paul at the 3. You're not gonna guard Draymond at the 3. You have a lockdown defender in Chris Paul. You have a floor general in Chris Paul. You have a great mentor in Draymond Green as well as you do in Chris Paul. But I think impact on the court is higher in Chris Paul. He's going to score more points. He's going to get more assists. He's probably going to get more steals. He's going to have a better field goal percentage than Draymond Green. I think they both have very similar impact when it comes to leadership, when it comes to being a mentor, when it comes to being a veteran. But I think it's just a different conversation. Like Chris said, if you take them from their teams now, you put Draymond on the Kings and you put fucking Chris Paul on the Timberwolves. Very different. You know what I mean? Like, that's a bad comparison because the Timberwolves are actually good, but they're just in a shitty position. In the Pistons and the Magic, right? You put them on their own team, but yeah.
I can confidently say, and I'm going to finish this off with this one, I can confidently say if you put Draymond on the Kings, they're in the playoffs. And I really think that if you put... And that's my point. What you're saying is that when we talk about is Chris Paul MVP, I don't think he has that scoring impact that I would like an MVP to have. So the same conversation we're having between Draymond and Chris Paul, I would like to have between Chris Paul and somebody like Embiid, somebody like Dame, somebody like Jokic. These guys are bigger scoring threats on the court, whereas Chris Paul might be more looking into play off other guys and play a role in that team. And I think Devin Booker's averaging over 25 points a game. Which I think he was going to do regardless, but now they're actually winning, so it doesn't look like empty stats.
Fair enough, yeah.
But yeah, that's our MVP talk.
I think they need to make like a new award or something like that.
Totally agree.
So, like we have these MVP talks, and again, it does often boil down to like, what is the most valuable player in the whole league? But then there's also players like
Impact to your team.
Yeah, he was valuable, but this player was also very, very impactful to this franchise, this organization. So it's like,
Yeah. Like, I know there's already most improved player, so you can't have MIP, but like most impactful player versus most, valuable player.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a conversation for a lot of sports too. I know that they have that in hockey quite a bit, changing the name of awards because you could technically give a goalie the most valuable player because you're not winning the game, you're not winning, the playoffs without the goalie. He is the most valuable player. However, a guy like Austin Matthews, you wouldn't be in that position, as a scoring threat without him. So, but yeah. Okay, so let's get into Tobe's Picks of the Week. We have a new nickname on the podcast. It's called Tobestradamus. I said last episode, I said this is either going to go one of two ways. I'm going to hit 3 for 3, or it's going to be an absolute train wreck. It's going to hit down. It's the Titanic on a podcast form, and I was right on the latter. So this week, I'm often whenever you're on a roll and you're in gambling, you start to feel invincible. You feel like you can take any picks and you're not afraid of losing anything. And I got away from that. I was making some weird-ass picks with the Thunder and the Pistons. But now I'm getting back on something more of a sure thing. Got to get back on the train, the win train. So with that being said, Wednesday, I'm taking the Jazz over the Houston Rockets. Easy dub there. On Thursday, I'm taking the Celtics over the Suns. The Suns are on a back-to-back. The Celtics really need to kind of pull up their socks a bit here. And on Saturday, I am taking the Pelicans versus the Spurs. That will be a really interesting matchup. They're both kind of neck and neck in the West to get into that final spot in the play-in tournament. So those are my picks. Jazz, Celts, and Pels. Lock them in. I think they're a bit more secure than last week. Tobestradamus.
What game was it that I just saw? The Nets and Raptors on Wednesday. We're taking the Nets, right?
So I was actually looking at that game. Let me just pull the schedule up. Because we got to think, like, Kevin Durant is still out. Again, we're forecasting for the future, but Kevin Durant is still out. Right. James Harden is still out. That's Wednesday, right? They play they play the night before, yeah. The Raptors are not. So that's why I was looking at it because I was going to take the Nets, and then I was like, oh, the Raptors might actually win that game.
Oh, but that's smart. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So there you go. You might get a marquee matchup there, Chris. You might get a dub over the Nets.
Raptors need all the dubs they can get right now.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. Wizards are making the 10th seed, bro.
Let's push these Bulls out of there.
You guys are neck and neck over in the Eastern Conference.
But I mean, I think Siyavash said, the Bulls, you guys play the Cavs 4 more times or some shit like that.
No, the Wizards are.
Oh, the Wizards? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's 24 wins for the Raps, 23 wins for the Bulls, 23 wins for the Wizards. That's tight.
So let's just make that 27 wins because they're going to clap the Cavs every single time. Unless the Cavs pull something amazing out. They're fucking...
Colin Sexton game?
Yeah.
Before we close it, last week one of your picks was the Magic. You had the Bulls winning over the Magic. Mm-hmm. And I shook my head. I am here to officially hang it up. As a Bulls fan, as somebody that's been supporting this team, I am tired. I am done. I don't want this team to make the playoffs. I don't want them to make the play-in. I want to trade everybody.
He's tired.
Kobe White.
He's got so many players.
I don't care. Fuck it. Just empty it. Just close the whole shit, bro. Kobe White, man. This guy, every time Zach LaVine is playing, this guy is nowhere to be found. Whenever Zach LaVine's off the court, he's not playing. Right now, he's in a health and safety protocol. This guy, Kobe White's putting up 27 points. And to me, I don't get this guy. I think you know what? The one positive thing I can look at from this time that we're not going to make the playoffs, I don't want to make the playoffs, is having players outside of Zach LaVine play and see what role they can provide when Zach LaVine is back. And see what these guys are good at and where they can be comfortable so we are a well-run machine. Yeah. So we can all run it good. When we watch this team, we've lost 20, 30-point leads just because the team triple teams Zach LaVine and nobody else can score. And I'm just out of it, bro. We can't have one scorer and nobody else out there.
But you know who can score? It's John Grant.
The number 2 pick in the draft?
Crazy. But anyway.
So are you retiring as a Bulls fan? Is that what you're saying?
I am retiring for this season.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're hanging your jersey back up in the closet for the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't even care, bro. If they make the playoffs, dude, I will say this: it's not gonna happen. If they make the finals, maybe I'll take the jersey back out. But they're not making the fucking finals. So until then, it's officially
Nah,
done.
if they make the
jersey's
finals,
out.
if they made playoffs, I'm not letting you take the jersey back out.
Well, imagine they
I'm
make
gonna
the
say, I'm
finals.
gonna say you hung that shit up. You leave it in there until the next season.
Yeah, no, I'm not rooting for them if they make the playoffs.
I'm gonna be a disappointed mother that's gonna come in with you and be like, "Hey, I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed." And that
You know why?
disappointment is gonna
I wouldn't.
far worse than me being mad at you.
Yeah, bro, I got a Paul George jersey that's stayed hanging up. So
Yeah, I don't think it's touched Tobe's body since the playoffs of last year.
no,
Actually, I don't even think
No,
the jersey period has been.
no, it has definitely.
Yeah, Chris Paul.
Have you worn it? No, you haven't worn it. I haven't seen you wear it.
I've worn my Pat Bev one.
Okay.
My guy.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to. Is he still there? Is he still there? I
Yeah,
thought he was gone for some reason.
Are we foreshadowing? Is he not going to be
guy.
there next year?
that's my guy.
Oh, maybe we'll see.
Pat
We'll
Bev,
see. We'll see.
I mean, hey, as long as the Air Force Ones are still in, Pat Bev is still in.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, thanks for listening to another episode of the Lob It Up Podcast. This is episode 10, where we broke down our draft for the small forwards. LeBron James went first overall. LeBron James.
LeBron James.
A couple legends did get left off the list, but let us know what you guys thought in the comments section down below. Make sure you hit that like button, comment, click the bell notification so you know the next time we post a video. New episode every week. Make sure you follow us on the Lob It Up Pod Instagram page. And we out. See you next week. Peace.